And it's mainly about going to answer questions. If you've never seen the show before, or if you are watching this on demand, we usually take the first 5 minutes or so, welcome everybody into the chat, that sort of thing. Once everybody gets there, answers and everybody, I'm going to go to the chat. Hanging in there. If you are listening in the chat right now, feel free. I believe we're on Facebook and a couple other places. Feel free to do a shout out. Let me know where you're watching from, stuff like that. I always like to see where we have people watching from around the world. See who else is here. Mac Warrior, what's going on? How are you? That's going to take a program that's doing backing up to the cloud. I forgot to shut it off, so it was taking up a lot of bandwidth. Shut down and give me a good feed over here. It's still shutting down on my end. So I'm showing, oh, there goes green. So we should be good now. There we go. Yeah, that's my fault. I totally forgot because I'm doing this big giant backup of my entire DJ library up to the cloud, and it's just been running in the background. I haven't really been thinking about it running in the background, and when I wasn't getting much bandwidth, I'm looking there going, oh, wow, hey, that was yellow and red, so now we're green, so we're good. So say hello to everyone else. David Wolf, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining in. Hope you're doing well from Missouri. Tonight I think it's going to be a good topic. I don't know. I just think it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. I've got a lot of little notes that I want to talk about, stuff like that. I'm trying to see who else is in the chat. We got mostly everybody watching on YouTube tonight. If you are watching out on Facebook and you want to join the chat over on YouTube, just go to youtube.com/discjockey news and you'll see the live stream there. And you can jump in with everybody else. See who else is in here. Yeah, Mac, again, like I said, I'm sorry. It took a couple minutes to shut down that program that was doing the continual backup, and now on my end I'm seeing green, so we're good. I probably should have shut that all down and did something different. That's all on my end. I apologize about that. Seeing who all is here tonight. We got anybody watching on Facebook tonight? We recently changed some things on our end when it comes to restream, so we're not hitting a zillion places anymore. Which I think's good. You know, you can overdo it sometimes. Let me move his stuff around here. Want to make sure everybody who's watching comes into the chat. Like I said, if you were watching this before, we do the first part of it where we just kind of welcome everybody, and then we jump into the topic. I think it's going to be a pretty good topic tonight. It's kind of interesting. There's a story behind it too that's kind of crazy. Not crazy, but like it was one of those moments when I'm like, really? So. David Wolf says backups. What's that? Now, like I said, I do a lot of backups, and I have backups of my backups on hard drive. I have a set of my entire thing backed up at a friend's house so that if my house would ever burn down or something like that, I have a backup off-site. But I recently decided I wanted to put all of my DJ library up in the cloud too. So that's what I've been doing. I've been putting it all up in the cloud. Because even that, I found out that the way that my machine for my phone, I can listen to everything that I have up there from the cloud, streaming it, and it's the same. So that's what I'm doing. That's why it's doing that. But like I said, it's been going on, and I totally forgot that it was running. So anybody else want to say hello in the chat before we move on? Sorry, I had to mute myself there. Who else is here? All right, cool. All right, so we're just going to jump into the topic tonight. And I just realized that I did not have my notes for the topic brought up, so give me 10 seconds to bring those up. I don't even know where I put them at. You're going to have to give me a second to find my notes because I've misplaced my notes. Where the heck would I put those at? See, this is what happens when you have like 20 projects going on at one time, and it's one of the downfalls of my life is that I have a lot of different projects going on, and it kind of gets overwhelming sometimes with different things. See if I can find it here. Tonight's topic is about DJ gear, and mainly, like I said, I want to talk about gear that you actually use to DJ with. So I probably should have renamed it. I should have probably renamed it so that it's talking about DJing gear as opposed to like lights and speakers and all that kind of stuff, because that's not what it's about tonight. I did find my right thing here, so give me 10 seconds to fix everything. I think we're probably back to going slow there. Awesome. So here we go. Anybody else in the chat? Sorry about that. Trying to see who else is still here. How he's talking about backups. Mac Warrior, thank you for that support. Yeah, I actually have a lot of projects, several of them that I have not been talking about, that I've been working on, and these may be career changers, and I don't mean like career enders, but some neat stuff, some what I call long projects that are going to take me at least a year to finish, I'm guessing, by my estimates and stuff like that. I'm always trying to do things and try to take things further. I don't want to be stuck in the same kind of rut all the time. Definitely not going to be talking about DMX. Not going to be talking about that tonight at all. All right, one of the questions I get a lot is probably the worst question you could ask. So if you've ever asked me or some other DJ or some presenter or educator or anything like that this question, never ask it again, okay? The question people ask is, what is the best DJ gear, or what should I get? To both of those, there is no answer. Zero answer. Because those questions are presented in a way that I'm going to give you a one-word answer, a brand, and a model number, and then that's it. And there's no zillion way on the entire planet that I can answer those questions in anything less than an hour-long show. Actually, I can answer them in shorter than long show, because I did a video on this for Disc Jockey News way back in 2014 about best DJ gear for you, and I rewatched it today, and it's like, holy crap, some of that gear is really, really old. So it was kind of neat to look at that, but my basic list that I put together on what to look for and what you need to look for to find the best gear for you is still basically the same. So what we're going to look at, that I think these are important, is size, and we're going to talk about two different things about size, the layout of everything that's there, a category that I call extras and upgrades, type is another one. This is probably the most important, price, and then the final one is, I put a question mark there because it may be a deciding factor for, actually I think it is a deciding factor for a lot of people, is brand. I also find a lot of people, when I answer this question, say things like, none of that matters, this is all that matters. Yeah, you're talking about that, but that doesn't matter to me. I don't care about that kind of stuff. Well, it's not just for you. Again, I can't answer this question in one bit. So if you say those things during tonight's show, take a look at the fact that I'm speaking to a lot of different people and trying to give you a guideline on what to look for when it comes to DJ gear, whether it be beginning DJ, middle, or advanced, different things you're looking for, stuff to think about before you purchase the gear, because there is no one set thing for everybody. There's just not, and that's all there is to it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about, again, I can't really see the chat too much tonight, so if you have any questions, please hold off on them to the end. Yeah, Ben Stowe's, it depends. Because mine is even, I thought about saying it depends like Ben does, but it's so much further than it depends, I think, when it comes to DJ gear, because it isn't like you have a couple paths. You have endless paths. Stuff you've never even heard of can be an option for you. And that's just what you have to think about. So we're talking about size first. Now, I want to talk about size in two different ways. And this may be important to you because it's important to me. Like I said, most of the show is about the mix DJ. The DJ that actually physically mixes and gets hired because of the mixing skills is room to work. So us to have a little thing with a couple buttons is just not going to happen. A medium-sized thing, we can get the job done, no problem. We can get it done with the small one, that's no problem. But it's just not fun with a medium-sized thing. So most of us who mix like a bigger controller. If that's not you, then that's not for you, because I've had people ask me the question. They asked me specifically about my 7000 because they were thinking about buying one, and I know what kind of DJ they are. They are a wedding DJ or a party, not a party DJ, but like person that does background music for car shows or stuff like that, to where mixing isn't a big deal, and for them to have this big giant thing when all they're literally doing is pressing play and turning up a volume is a waste. So you have to think about the size of it. Do you need the size? And if you need the size, how much size do you need? Because some of the controllers out there come really, really big, and some of the other stuff, we're not just going to be talking about just controllers tonight. It's any gear you can DJ on is what we're going to bring into this. So room to work is one thing that I think is really important. At least, like I said, for most people, for me, it's very important. Like literally, because I remember I went from the 6,000 on Denon to the 7,000, and I literally, this is what I said to somebody: I feel like a real DJ again, because I felt like I was using something normal size, and that was for me. That when I switched to the bigger size, it felt normal to me. Size on the second half of that is portability, carrying it around. Bigger's great for work, but bigger's a pain to carry in different places. Sometimes I'm doing 2 gigs a night and I'm loading in twice within like a 5-hour period. Big takes its toll, but big is great to work on. So you have to think about what you need to work with size-wise and what you have to work with, to where if someone came in with turntables and a mixer, they would have the portability when it comes to size. How are you going to be carrying it around? Is it going to be in a hard case, with maybe a slide top or something like that? Is it going to be in a soft case where you can just pick it up and go because you don't want it in a case, you want to set it on a table? Or are you using something so small you can throw it in a backpack and just go? So size, I think, is the first important thing you have to ask yourself. What do I want size-wise? Like I said, for me, it's something bigger, something I can move around on. This was always my thing, that if the center of the platters is closer together than my shoulders, it's too small. So that's just for me. So I like bigger stuff like that. So again, you have to look at size, both what you need to work with and what you have to, the kind of space you have to put it in. Second is layout. One of the things that I did a video on a while back was symmetrical versus asymmetrical layout. And this is here. I'm going to switch screens here. All right, let me move me up there. Okay, so asymmetrical versus symmetrical. Symmetrical meaning that if you folded it in half, it would look the same. So the pitch fader is here on this one. Zoomed in there? Yeah, I'm zoomed in. So the pitch fader's right there on that one, and it's on this side on the other one. But if you go down here to this one, they're both to the right of the platter. That's the asymmetrical. So symmetrical versus asymmetrical. And one of the things that I've found over the years is, because like I prefer the asymmetrical myself. It's just, to me, I've been using it my whole life, because if you've ever started out with turntables where the pitch fader's on the same spot on both, you go to CDJs, the pitch fader was on the same spot on both because it was a three-part unit. That is important to me. And then when I switched to some of the brands started switching to where it was a mirrored, the symmetrical, it really, really messed me up. Now, you might say that doesn't matter, but I have some statistics, and like I said, I'm a numbers person, so I kind of look at statistics and way things vary a little bit, that if we look at, let me move me out of the way here. They had less than 300 people vote on this, but they asked people, which do you like, the asymmetrical, the symmetrical, which do you prefer? So we have approximately half the people like the asymmetrical, like I like it, where it's off to the side. Only 19% liked the symmetrical, and 32% said they could go either way. So when I look at those numbers, I don't see a lot of people liking this, and a lot of people liking this, and a few people liking that. I see 81% of the people that would be perfectly okay if it was just asymmetrical. That's 81%. Only 19% want the symmetrical. So to me, that was kind of like a duh moment. It's like, yeah, that's important. So like I said, layout is what this section is called. So that's the biggest part of it is the layout, where their stuff's at. Now, next one is the platters. If you're not a person who uses platters, again, this may not be for you, because this is about the mix DJ, and we touch the platters all freaking night long, whether we're nudging forward, nudging backwards, scratching, dropping in, rewinding, whatever. They are our main tool. So the platter has to be what we want. I can give you 2 examples of platters from the same company that are so day and night different you can't even imagine. The Denon 7000 and the 8000 compared to the Prime 4, the platters are so different you would swear they were different companies. They're that far different. I like the 7 and 8000. I also like a lot of the ones that are on a Pioneer, especially the Pioneer 1000, because of its size. But just the weight, the feel, the push, the pull, everything is really important. I have friends who like specific versions of CDJs better than others. So that's how far it can get picky. You know, that when you're picking this out, you have to fit what you like. Do you like big platters or small platters? If I'm correct, the ones on the 7000 are 7-inch platters. I don't want anything smaller than that. To me, the ones that are on the Pioneer 1000, I think are probably about the best. I could even go a little bit bigger. I'm okay with that. I like that. And then you can talk about motorized or non-motorized. I can take or give motorized or non-motorized. I've loved motorized for years, but motorized adds weight, so it goes back to that carrying thing. But now I've kind of gotten used to non-motorized, and I kind of like those too. So each one kind of has its own thing there. You can look at a controller and see that if it has LED markings around the outside that show you where it's turning, because as a scratch DJ, a lot of times I'm looking at the platter and I'm watching that thing go back and forth. And it's the same with the center displays that's in a lot of them, that I want to see that line because I'm looking back there to where I need to grab when I'm scratching. And that's really important to me. Other people, not. Layout also is channel-wise. How many channels does it have? 2 or 4. Some people need that. One of my complaints about the some of the Denon stuff, which I love Denon. Denon is I didn't turn my Denon light on, so I apologize. I love the Denon stuff, but they tend to push the volume knobs too close to the fader for me. The Numark, which is also owned by InMusic, I like how that they kind of kick the volumes up away from the fader a little bit and give you room to work. That's something you have to think about per brand. Pioneer gets them out of the way. I think Numark, to me, gets them out of the way the best. But that's important. The Prime 4 has your channel buttons, you know, where you would switch where the fader is going to go. If it's to the right, the button lets you go to the right or to the left, to where you're basically, it's called hamstring, the crossfader. But they're right next to the crossfader, so when I'm doing a crab scratch, I hit them all the time. So if I owned the Prime 4, I would have to tape them down because there's just so much that's in the way with a lot of those. Same with the symmetrical versus asymmetrical. Like I said, the ones where they have them both on the outside, the symmetrical, I had to change the way I scratched when I got it because my finger, because out here on the left side is where the pitch fader is, I'm constantly bumping it with my finger, drove me absolutely bananas. So the layout of stuff like that, how many channels, because you're going to be working the channels all night long, up, down, up, down, up, down, all night long. And then the final is, where are the effects placed? Because that's also very important. One of the things that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on is the placement of the cue points, because there are some controllers that have the hot cues above the platter and the platter closest to you, which that's kind of what they started out with years ago. And then now mostly all of them have put the cue points down here for the purpose that if you're scratching, you can thumb hit them. So if I'm scratching on one of them and I need to get to a different point, I can thumb hit them, whatever I need to, and stuff like that. So where they're at, all that layout, where the effects are, like the new Numark that just came out has the paddle effects, the same that are on like the S9 and the 72 mixer. I love those, absolutely love those. But stuff like that, where that's at, is really important. Next section, like I said, I'm going to answer all the questions at the end. I'm going to try to get through as quick as I can, because I always say that, but I always don't have a lot of time for questions, but I'm going to try tonight. Extras and upgrades is what I call this. This is add-ons of any kind, knobs, buttons, different things like that. And we can talk about hookups, how many mic lines are there, which, again, to the mixed DJ, one is all I need, and probably about 80% of all the places I DJ at, they don't even want me on the microphone. They literally say, don't hook up a mic. You don't need to talk on the mic. So having a mic isn't even important. It's not even wanted. So you talk about sound outs, part of it for the controller or whatever you're going to end up using. Do you need a booth out, a separate volume for a booth, which most of the places I DJ at, I need that separate volume. Some guys use the separate volume for the booth volume for the subs so that they don't have to go over to the subs and change anything at the beginning of the night. They can just bring it up as it goes along to amp the crowd. Split cue is really important to a lot of people. It's really important to me. It's a headphone thing that to where, because I mix in my headphones, that it puts one deck in my right ear, the other deck in my left ear. So when I'm mixing that way, I can, it's like the people who put one headphone on and then leave the other one for the outside. You're doing basically the same thing, but you're doing it within the headphones. And then the split cue button lets me kill that and then hear the main out in both ears exactly the way it would be. So that's important to me. Some people it's not. I literally have steered away from other controllers because they don't have a split cue because it's that important to me. Some of them like remote apps, if you're able to attach anything else to it, pads or whatever, most of those go through software, but some people like, in the tractor world kind of like that. How many cue points, like we talked about the cue point layout before, but how many cue points does it have? The 6000 had 4 cue points. Most of the ones now have 8. I would not buy anything anymore that had less than 8. I can't use less than 8. It's just, I use all of them all night long for marking things and jumping in and out. So I need all 8 cue points, just period. So that's really important to me. We're talking about the outs, the main outs, the booth outs. Do you need it to be an XLR or can it just be an RCA? So those are questions you have to ask yourself. They're important. Like for me, good and bad, I love XLR outs. Most of the places I have XLR outs. But here's the odd thing with the Denon. Back again to another example. 90% of the booths that I need to plug into the booth monitor is a 1/4 inch coming my way. So the Denon has XLRs the same as the XLR outs. So I have to carry an adapter. So if I go into places, either a separate cord to plug in and then give me my XLR into the thing so I can XLR booth out, or an adapter to go from 1/4 inch to the XLR, something like that. So if that's something you need, that's important. We just talked about the effects and the paddle effects on the new Newmark that just came out. They're also on the S9 and the 72. That's kind of a given. It's a normal in that world. Things that have the paddle effects, so that's kind of important, extras and upgrades and stuff like that. And then finally, the crossfader. Most people who, like I said, is a scratch DJ and stuff like that, you want to be able to replace the crossfader, and that's all there is to it. So that's important. A lot of people go with other brands that have stuff like that are a little bit more fluid and stuff like that. Plus also we wear them out. I go through one about every 1.5 to 2 years. So I have to replace that about once, like I said, once every 1.5 to 2 years I have to replace them. And that's not because they're cheap. Again, that's because I'm using it. I couldn't tell you how many, because I'm DJing 3 nights a week plus in the studio, I have a boatload of hours a week on them. So it has to be able to wear. So that's kind of important there. I want to get into something else later on when we get into the price. Remind me about that. You don't have to remind me. I'll remember it because I have it written down here. All right, so next one is type. So do you want a mixer and 2 turntables with a needle, or the phase system, because that's a DVS system? Is that something you want? So you have to think about, do I want that? Because that both comes a point of giving you more room to work, more room to scratch, but also is more to carry in. Some bars and clubs already have stuff like that in there to where you have to be able to use the equipment they have or you're not DJing there. And if you don't use one of those, you're just not DJing there ever. Mixer and a controller, like the Rain 72 and the 12s, that's a mixer and a controller where it's a unit to where the outside units can't do anything unless they're kind of plugged into either a hub and the mixer as in the S9 or the 12, or plugged directly into the 12. A mixer and media control, kind of like a CDJ or a Denon SC series, to where they are a MIDI device that's on there, but also can take a thumb drive or something like that. So that's still 3 pieces, but they can work aside from a laptop. Is that important to you? You have to ask your questions. You have the all-in-one, which is what most DJs use, to where we set it down and it's all one unit. And then the final one is all-in-one plus media controller, like the Denon 8000. And one of the Pioneers, I can't remember which the Pioneer is, that to where it can work both all night long. Drop a thumb. It's an all-in-one, not a mixer that you add to, or not a controller separate size you add to. It's an all-in-one that you add the thumb drive to. So those are all things that you need to think about. What do you want? What best fits what your needs are? Because each person is going to be a little bit different. Like I said, even to the point of, if you want to DJ in the clubs, you're going to have to get to know the gear that they're going to be using in the clubs and get to be able to use it at home to be able to mix there. So that's the whole idea is, am I going to be on that equipment? I need to own that equipment so that I can walk in there and take care of that. This is the one that I kind of think is probably the most important, which it shouldn't be, especially if you're on the level of a DJ that's making a living, is price. I've heard people say things like they're all the same, it doesn't matter. And I can prove to you that there is a difference between them. I heard somebody one time say, my mixer sounds better than any controller I've ever owned. My thing is, let's go look at price of all of that. If you have a $500 controller, it's going to be about half as good as a $1,000 controller. And I'm not saying that it can't work, but I'm telling you there is a difference. $250 to $500 is what I consider an entry-level controller. Anything above that, you're stepping into the pro grade. And there is a huge sound difference because I can honestly tell you from when I had the 6000, which is a solid freaking unit of the Denon, and I was DJing a place with it, and the next week came back with my 7000 plugged in there, I could not believe the sound difference, how much better the 7000 sounded than the Denon 6000. There was such a huge difference in sound. So if you tell me your mixer sounds better than a controller, I want to ask you, how much did you pay for your mixer? And consider that that is 1/3 of what you need to DJ with. So triple the price of whatever you paid for that mixer, and that's the quality you're going to get if you put it into a single controller. So if you paid $500 for your mixer, put $1,500 into a controller, and it will sound just as good. Trust me, there's so little difference in that. And here's the thing that I think is most important when it comes to that kind of stuff is that we as DJs, we hear stuff that nobody else hears. You can nitpick to death, say this sounds a little better, this sounds a little better. I was wowed at the difference I heard of those two, and everybody else is like, it sounds the same to me. So people do not hear what we hear as DJs at all. So sometimes it's not necessary to be that picky, but again, it's just helping you find what works for you. So if you need that sound, you're going to need to put a little bit of money into a controller. And like I said, if you're on a professional level, I advise it for 1,000 different reasons: reliability, usability, everything. Spend some money, save up for it if you have to, buy a used one if you have to, whatever. You can get really good controllers on sale now for around that $500 price. Especially with, I think some of the brands are probably, I don't know if their prices are going to go up or go down with everything that was going on in the world with, it doesn't matter. If you're DJing in a place where it doesn't matter all that much, you can go in with the $250 controller and think nothing. $200 controller and someone else who's not a good DJ on a $1,000 controller is going to sound worse. But again, it comes about what you need and what you need to work with. And finally, here is the final one, and then I'll take questions, is brand. Is brand important? Brand is important in 3 different ways. Brand loyalty, if that's important to you. It's perfectly fine, but you have to think about that. Brand identification is the one that I think has messed the frick up. Oh, it's good. It's from Pioneer. It's good. It's from Denon. It's good. No, that does not mean it's good. Okay? There's been good and bad from all of them. So brand identification, I think, is a little weird. And then a final one is what works with what software. That was a big deal years ago, but right now pretty much everything works with everything. There isn't a whole lot of controllers and devices out there that don't work with all of the softwares. If you want to see kind of a neat comparison, go to one of our competitor news companies, Digital DJ Tips, and check out one of their things where they compared virtual to Serato and how many devices work with each. And it was almost 3 times as many devices work with virtual as did Serato. But that was when Serato was kind of coming out and opening up to all these things. But Serato is becoming more and more the norm, and it's becoming where there's a lot less gap between the two. But that may be something for you, because if you want to get a certain brand and your brand doesn't work with the controller, which that almost never happens, you have to think about that. So those are all the kind of things that, like I said, are on my list of stuff to look at: size, layout, extras and upgrades, the type, whether you want to be an all-in-one or 3 units, whatever, the price, and the brand. Like I said, in 2014, I did a video on this and covered all this, but it was just a video you couldn't ask questions. So that's what tonight I'm here. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and ask them now. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat on both chats to see if I'm on Facebook or anywhere else. I'm not seeing anybody watching on Facebook right now. All the questions are coming in from YouTube. So let's see here. Questions here. People talking about what they use, muscle memory. Like I said, Howie's talking about muscle memory. I literally had to relearn how to scratch because of that unit. And if the next one's come out because from the people that I talk to at In Music, if I stay with Denon, almost all of their stuff is going to come out with the asymmetrical, like the layout that has always been. So now I've got to relearn and go backwards. But I can honestly tell you, going from the symmetrical to the asymmetrical to the symmetrical, it took me over 2 years to stop reaching for things in the wrong place. It took me 2 years of DJing 3 nights a week, 2 to 3 nights a week, to get to know where those things are at. And that's how kind of things, like I said, you don't want to be able to do, that might be messing up thing. Again, David Wolf, again, I'm taking questions from the chat for those who are watching. Anybody's on demand, you can't see these questions. They're coming in the chat. But David Wolf says, another factor is Serato or other software. Is it bundled with the controller? Most of the DJs I know, unless you're a beginner DJ, you've already got your software. So if you're buying a controller because it comes with a certain software, you're probably a beginner DJ. Because if you are doing this and making money, you probably already have something and you already have the software you like and already have a controller. You're looking to do that. CF Karaoke Entertainment asks, what works best with virtual DJ? Like I said in my thing earlier, it's almost 400 different devices right now. I wish I could find where that was at. Maybe while we're talking here. Virtual works with more than all of them. And that's just all there is to it. Like I said, see if I can find that article and see if it talks about the comparison of the two and what that is. But like I said, they all are great. Like I said, there's hardly anything you can do to complain about stuff with them. I'm trying to find that article where it talked about how many worked with each. Nope, that wasn't the right article. But feel free to ask questions while we're going here. In the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all this. Here we go. I think this is the right one. This article was written in 2018, March of 2018. So this is 2 years old. Okay. At that time, Serato worked with 53 different controllers, 17 mixers, and 18 accessory units such as CDJs and DVS boxes, like your Serato box. At that time, so that was 53, 17, and 18, Virtual worked with 325 total devices that included all of those put together. So at that time there was that, but they all are great. Like I said, there's since that, Rekordbox has made such a humongous change in what they do, is that they have really upped their game and stepped into the big ring with the rest of them. So Rekordbox is a whole nother thing now that is definitely there toe to toe with the rest. Traktor's still around. They still have the Traktor 2 Pro and Traktor 3. Let me put this in here. There we go. See if that went into the chat. Traktor 3, they're still working on it. It's out, it's open, but they're still tweaking some things. Some people that I know that use it are kind of like, yeah, they're still working on it, blah, blah, blah. But it's there. So you can always look at that too. But again, like I said, a lot of this is hardware oriented as the mixed DJ. You kind of know what you want and why you want it and stuff like that. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, stuff like that. That's what tonight is about, asking. I mean, like I said, it can be specifically little tiny things if you want to ask, because it can be anything about any of this and why I think this is more important as compared to that, or etc. Stuff like that. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. I don't have a sponsor video to show tonight, so I can't show anybody anything. Appreciate all that though. It looks like I'm adding a lot of stuff there. Oh, it's posting out the different places. Got it. I'm looking at two different chats here and seeing where stuff's going on there. But yeah, it comes down to what you want. And I used this in that little tiny video I told you I did back in 2014. I used the example of a car. A car is going to get you from point A to point B. But what do you need that car to do? if you're a construction worker, a hatchback probably isn't going to help you a whole lot. But if you're someone who has to drive a long distance and you want good gas mileage, the hatchback probably works better. And that's kind of the way with this. You have to figure out what you need. Do you need a minivan maybe? You need a lot of seats. So with this, it's kind of like that, to where you have to kind of see what fits for you. I still haven't, in my opinion, found the perfect controller. The Newmark NS7 III was probably one of the best layout-wise that I've seen, except it's just crazy heavy, and I don't want to carry around that much. Since Newmark just put out that one with the paddle effects, and that's a small one because there's two sizes, and the bigger size is only a $250 controller. My thing is are they going to put out a full-size one with those paddles? Because that's the first controller that has the paddles the same as the S9 mixer and the 72 mixer. In that whole world, all they want is those paddles. If you don't have those paddle effects, I'm not buying your unit. And you have to think about it that way. That Newmark has just put something out with paddle effects and everyone's going to go bananas over. So if they put out a full-size pro-level one, that may be my next switch, because you're going to have the asymmetrical layout with the paddle effects, all these kinds of things, and it's like, that's what I'm hoping for. Mac Warrior said, I wish I could go to the store and test different ones out. I know for a fact that a lot of guitar centers have several. We have 2 guitar centers here in Pittsburgh, and one of them has a lot of DJ stuff, and the other one does not have a lot of DJ stuff. I think it's kind of hilarious how they do that. One lets you try several different brands out, several different things, and the other one doesn't. The best thing I can tell you is, again, our business, especially those who would do as the bar and the clubs, it's about networking. So one of the best things I can tell you to do is network online, find somebody who has one of the units you want to try, and say, hey, can I stop by your... Well, obviously right now there's not going to be a lot of gigs to go to. Soon. I know it's going to be soon. But when this all gets back up, you can say, hey, can I stop by your gig? I'm thinking about buying that. I'd like to give it a try. And I can't see a single DJ that wouldn't let you come and, put your hands on it and test it. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. I'm like, oh, you got that? Can I come over? Can I do a session? I'll buy lunch. Like, oh yeah, come on over, and I'll hang out and get to test stuff. So that's one of the best ways, I think, to test it. You can also do an expo, like the Atlantic City DJ Expo, or like Mobile Beat / Photo Booth Expo in Vegas. You have, what's the one in Anaheim? NAMM in Anaheim. You can test all the stuff out there. So there are expos all over the place that you can go to if you want to take a trip. But there's a lot of things like that. Wolf said he purchased my 7000 and now my Newmark NV2 is my backup. It's good to have a backup. That's why I haven't gotten rid of my 6000, because that's... Well, actually, I have my 7000 that you see it when I do my mixes that has the skin on it. Then I have a backup 7000 that does not currently have a skin on it. I think I want to put one on it. And then my backup is the 6000. And then I have other tiny little other backups that could be used if necessary. So, yeah. Somebody from Dayton, Ohio, small area here. There's got to be guitar centers in Dayton, Ohio, or at least an hour drive. Like I said, because one of the guitar centers for me is, and I literally live within the city limits of Pittsburgh, and one of them is like 35, 40-minute drive for me to get to. So you're going to have to drive, like I said, best thing to do is network with somebody and go and see what somebody has. Somebody in there saying that they have a wedding coming up and a prom. Awesome. That's awesome. Someone in CF Karaoke Entertainment said ADJ. I'm not sure what you're saying there. I don't think ADJ has any. I mean, American Audio has equipment, which that's old. That was one of my first CD players, was an old American Audio CD player, and holy crap, woo! Take an upgrade on that one quick. You just bumped that thing and it skipped. It was, whoa. That was a long time ago. That was in the 90s. So you understand that's 25 years ago at least. So that's longer than most DJs have been alive. And that's the funny thing. I look at people that talk to me about stuff in the business, and I had a guy a few months ago say something all up in my face about it, and I'm thinking, this dude don't even know. I said, I've literally been making money at DJing longer than he's been alive. I've seen, like I said, I talk about this all the time, that I remember when someone said, no one will ever DJ with CDs. And then someone goes, no one will ever DJ with a laptop. And then someone else goes, no one will ever DJ with a controller. I had a friend of mine that literally, he saw an ad in a magazine of this DJ that was going to be in this big, big club. And in the ad, they had a picture of a controller in the background, just not like he was working with it, but like this wire model of a controller in the background. And he goes, the first time I see one of those in the club will be the last time I ever DJ. Well, less than 3 years later, he was using one in a club. So there you go. San Diego has 2. There you go. Angelos from NYC. What's going on, man? How are you? Appreciate that. Everybody tuning in where everybody's from tonight. I think we have quite a few people in the chat tonight. I thought this would be a good one. The one I did 2 weeks ago, I thought was a good one too. So if you've not seen it 3 weeks ago, go check out the music and mixing from 2 weeks ago. And it was about streaming music services. And I gave a full breakdown of all the different streaming services that you can use inside of DJ programs, including Serato, Virtual, all of that. I went through all of them. I had Serato out, working with Tidal, all of that, and showed you the differences at this point, because like I said, things are going to change, of what you can look into to stream inside your program without leaving if you ever need to. So that was 2 weeks ago on Disc Jockey News. Go back and check that out. See if Karaoke says American Disc Jockey Association for Training. Again, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you saying they have videos on how to pick equipment, or what are you saying there? I'm not really sure. Hit me back. This whole chat back and forth thing sometimes gets lost. Again, feel free to ask questions. Like I said, I tried to make sure that I did that was only 30 minutes so that we have lots of time for questions. I thought there would be more questions tonight. Yeah, Mac Warrior, like I said, I did not get a lot of views on that one. That's the one I thought, because I literally compared every single one. I think there was like 7 or 8 different streaming services that work inside of DJ software, from BeatSource, Beatport, Tidal, SoundCloud, Deezer, iDJ Pool. There was a karaoke one in there, and then there was a video one in there too. DJ Beaker asks, how do you use loop out? You have to be more specific about that. Do you mean looping or an echo out loop? Let me know about that. I'll answer that. But yeah, go ahead and check it out. 2 weeks ago, music and mixing from 2 weeks ago. I usually try to, right now, with like I said, because I'm working on so many different projects, I try to do at least a video a week. I have another YouTube channel besides... most of my stuff, it goes first here on Disc Jockey News, and then I have another YouTube channel that's Michael Joseph, and it's basically the same stuff I put on here. And then there's also a DJ Michael Joseph YouTube page. That's the one that if I get some more subscribers on it, I may start doing like some behind-the-scenes stuff, a lot like Brian S. does, where he just kind of talks to you and stuff like that instead of being planned out. So if you can, go find my DJ Michael Joseph page, YouTube page, and subscribe to it. Like I said, one just says Michael Joseph, the other one says DJ Michael Joseph. If you go to the one that has all the Disc Jockey News videos, that's not the right one. You can subscribe to that if you want, but I want you to go to the other one that has like my mixing videos and stuff like that, stuff I've done over the years. And please subscribe to that, like I said, because if I get a few more, then I'm going to start doing some special videos on that. All right, so DJ Beaker says echo out. With me, it works with the software, and that's one of the differences I think about the software and hardware, is a lot of people who use Serato, they want their hardware device to have the effects built into the hardware. I don't want that. I don't need that, because I have a software that does everything I want. Virtual does everything. I literally can take any VST and drag and drop it into Virtual, and that can be my effect. So my echo out is this way, is that I have programmed a button on the 7000, MIDI mapped it to kick off 2 effects. It kicks off a flange effect and an echo effect. And both of them are post fader. So that means that if I put the effect, hit that button, and it kicks the 2 effects on, and I pull down the volume, the song stops, but those 2 effects echo out. So that's what I use for echo out, is that just I press the button, bring it down, because that gives me multiple different ways that if I want it to chop, I can press and pull real quick, and then that'll give the effect of chit, 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 chit. Or if I want it to like linger, I can hold it down a little bit and then slowly pull the volume down, and it kind of gives it that slow linger out. But that's how I do the echoes out. How do you set it in Virtual DJ? Again, there's a whole section there on pads, the pad modes. You put your effects in your pad modes, choose what you want, and then you pick what button. You literally pick what button you want. With the Pioneer ones, they have the buttons in there that are pre-programmed for the Serato so that they're always the exact same effects. But with Virtual, you can make those buttons do anything you want. And that's what I said. I pick the effects I like. I use 3 exit effects. 4 if you count the one that's doubled. I use that. There's a backspin, and then there's a break that I use. And those are the 3 that I stick to all of the time. Yeah, again, definitely network with local DJs. Like I said, I do it all the time. There was a friend of mine who he's over an hour away from me, south of the city. East of the city, sorry. And every once in a while, he'll get something. I'm like, can I come over one day? He's like, yeah, come on over on such and such day. And I'll go over and check the stuff out. So, Angelo, I think you're talking about the flip and double effect, which I love that too. That's basically flip and double effect is basically, have you ever seen somebody DJing where that they put a track on this side and a half a beat later put the same track on this side so that they move the fader back and forth and it sounds like an echo? There's an effect in there called flip and double that gives that effect just by pressing the effect. Mac Warrior says we need something on licensing too. I was talking to somebody earlier today about this. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. It comes down to money. When they can figure out how to charge us as DJs an additional fee to stream online, not just stream, but you got to understand, if you work for a bar or restaurant or something like that, how much it costs them to pay their ASCAP, BMI, and stuff like that. It's thousands, okay? So they have to come up with some sort of way, and when they do, that we as DJs have to pay to be able to stream, that's when we'll be able to stream. Or it could possibly be a thing that to where if we do video streaming, there has to be ads that run all the time at the bottom. There has to be a money-making component to it before we'll ever be allowed to do it. And that's just a fact from the bottom up. It's not going to happen because the artist, not just the artists need to get paid, but the people who own the publishing rights to the songs are the ones that are holding everybody to it because they want their money. They're the ones that get paid way before the artists. They get paid more than the artists, and that's what they're looking for. Those are the people that want to get paid for every single time you play a song. There is no doubt in my mind that within the next decade, we are going to be required as DJs to let our software communicate with the web of every single song we've played so that it gets tracked, and we may have to pay for that. Possibly. That's maybe how they're going to do it. Because I know right now Serato and Virtual both do uploads of your sets every single night. You can go to either one of those and see what you've played. You can share it. The Billboard reporters report directly from Serato and Virtual, come straight from there. But I think that's something that's going to be in the future that I think is going to be coming to us to where that's going to be required in the software, that you're going to be required to go online once a month and let your software tell the labels what you played. I just have a feeling that's coming there. Again, it's not about MacWorks, talking about the artist. You have to keep in mind, this is what I tell people. There was somebody one time, a bar, that they only wanted to pay their BMI fee, not the BMI ASCAP, stuff like that. They only wanted to pay one. And they're like, why can't the DJs just play just from this record, just BMI people? I'm like, you have to understand. You look at the song September by Earth, Wind & Fire. It's not who performs the song, so you're not going to go look up Earth, Wind & Fire. It's who wrote the song and owns the publishing rights. Good example, I'll come back to this, but good example is Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA. That is not written by Miley Cyrus, so Miley Cyrus does not see the first dip of money into that. there's another artist, Juicy J, and another guy who wrote that song. They get the money way before the she does. So if you wanted to look if you're allowed to play that song, you have to look who Juicy J and the other person who wrote the song, who they're signed up for, BMI, etc. Perfect example, September's Earth, Wind, and Fire was written by 5 people. And those 5 people are spread over all 3 of them. So to legally play that song, you would have to pay all 3 licensing fees to legally play that song. That's just the way it does that. Oh, you're talking about just, oh yeah, that's just cue points. Angela's talking about just jumping to cue points. I do, like I said, in some of my DJ classes and stuff, I talk about cue points and how important they are. I think they're both immensely important for both marking where something's at so you can visually see it, and also being able to jump forward or back if you need to. And also the beat jump forward, beat jump backward, I think are all are important things. And again, that's why coming down to hardware, a beat jump button is extremely important to me, because I use it every single night, multiple times a night, that if I'm, whether I want to extend a mix or jump faster into it or something like that, that's, you know, the beat jump buttons are essential. Let's see here. Yeah, you could think of something like that they're charging 5 cents per song. So think about how many, you know, it all depends on how many songs you play. I know DJs that mix every 1 minute. You know, the quick mixes, we're mixing every minute. So would be 60 times 5 in a 1 hour mix, where someone who's like an EDM artist is going to run a 6-minute song and pay 5 cents for that 6-minute song. There could be things like that to where you do a rental per hour maybe or something. Macworld, you're asking about, does Rekordbox do that too? You're asking me what does Rekordbox do too? Isn't that what radio stations do? Sorta. It's different, but sorta. I don't know the whole deal. If you want to know, send one of our DJ and TV reporter Dan Carpenter questions. He was always the radio guy. He did a lot of radio years. He'd be able to answer that question. Or this is what I tell everybody, because people hit me up with questions all freaking day long. The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is take the exact sentence that you ask me, type it into Google or any other search engine you want, and you'll probably get your answer there. And you'll probably get it quicker than me, and probably part of the time that you're sending me the question, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take your question, I'm going to put it in Google, come back to you with what I find there. So, Jimmy Spin, welcome. Hope you're doing well. I haven't got to talk to you in a while. Hopefully we get to, you know, all of us, Jimmy and Howie and all of us, get to hang out in Atlantic City this fall. Hopefully, if things go well. I've been hearing good things about it continuing, so that's good. Just have a couple minutes left, so final questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, go check out some of my other shows that are on there. I do stuff about virtual DJ every single week. I have videos. If you do not subscribe, does Rekordbox create a port? Before I go into the subscribe thing, he asked does Rekordbox create a report like that? Rekordbox not only creates a report like that, they have a box that you can attach to certain units that reports. It's called the Curve or something like that. So it not only reports it, but if you use your Curve, I'm going to say it's called Curve. I can't remember what it's called. But if, let's say, I use the Curve box, someone out there who wanted to follow me could download the Curve app and see not just report, but they could see every single song I play in real time as I play it. They could sit there and just look at it and go, oh, MJ's playing this right now. So Rekordbox has that ability to do that. That's why I say that a lot of this stuff is there. Dave says I need to come to Midwest DJs Live. Someone invite me. I'll take a trip. I have no problems. Stop arguing about what software rules. Stop. Just stop. Best music studio software for productions. It all depends. There's my Ben Stowe answer. You could get into Pro Tools. You could get my favorite. I think my best bang for the buck is probably going to be Ableton, because you can buy a cheaper version of Ableton that does almost absolutely everything that the $700 version does. I think it's like $99, and sometimes you get it on sale for less than that. But if you're going to do editing, there's free ones out there too, but nothing it's a learning curve with the Ableton, and Cubase was another one I used to use a lot. But those are the ones that I think are the best, that give you the most option to be able to do what you want. And it's not just like about, piecemealing 2 songs together. You'll be able to throw different effects and 5 effects on one channel and have those effects link to the beat, so that the effect goes with the beat and everything. So there's lots of stuff like that. And David Wolf had to say the M word. We have a thing that anybody says the M word in the chat or out loud, we all have to take a drink. So mega seg. There we go. All right. And that was for John. Definitely thank John for giving us this option, man. Right now in the business, the way things are, it's really tough money-wise and sponsorship-wise and all that kind of stuff. And John is working his butt off to keep Disc Jockey News up and running, and giving us all a platform to do what we do, and be able to not just, as me as a presenter, but you as a viewer. I definitely thank him for all the work he's doing, and he's been putting in a lot of work lately about trying to come up with real live streaming services. He actually has been speaking with some of the big name people, including he did a video the other day talking about Zoom and some of the stuff that they're talking about, different things like that. So definitely check out some of the other videos. If again, this is where I was going to go to before. If you are not a subscriber to Disc Jockey News, please subscribe to it and click the bell so that you can see when there's icons. There are so many different presenters that put up stuff, multiple videos a day about every topic you can imagine. So no matter what kind of DJ you are, there's videos that we're going to be putting up for you, and you guys check that out. Also, there is a chat that goes on every night, and it started when the lockdown started, and it's a place that you can go hang out with other DJs, not DJing, but just sit and BS about stuff. It's called the Chill Room. I always get it wrong, so Jimmy or one of you people, can you drop into the chat the Chill Room, Howie or somebody, the Chill Room link, so they can go to that. But it's a great place to go and hang out and just talk BS with other DJs. It doesn't have to be about, like I said, a lot of times the topics aren't about DJing, it's cars, food, everything. So like I said, it's a real good place to check out there. Delton Hall asked about the Hercules controller. I kind of wanted to talk about that earlier when I was talking about them, and I apologize, we're going late. But one of the things I think is good about Hercules is that they've come out with a new system that helps a beginner DJ be able to tell if if they're beat matching, if the song's ahead or back. They are giving visual cues on the platter and the pitch fader to tell you need to go this way. So if you need the song to go faster, the arrow is going to be pointing, so you nudge the platter that way. Or if it's behind, it's showing you how to do that. And that's one of the cool things that I think that Hercules is doing right now, is a lot of theirs is that you are able to, if you're a beginner DJ, Hercules is giving you a lot of tools that let you learn how to DJ without just hitting the sync button, because that's not always going to be right. It helps you out. So I think Hercules is a good one to talk about, because they're the only one that has that technology in their controllers right now, including the one they just released, which is really good. You need to go check it out. I have not done a video on it yet. I was going to talk about it tonight a little bit, but they come out so fast I didn't get to do a video on it. But like I said, they're the only ones with that type of controller right now, that technology for teaching a beginner DJ. Pitch needs to go up, pitch needs to go down, which I think that's really great. See who else in here. Thank you, Howie, for putting the link in there to the Chill Room. Awesome place to hang out. And that's about it. Midwest DJs is coming up August. Wolf, are they 100% going on? They plan on rescheduling or anything like that? I know it's probably well within the, I don't know what kind of people range you have there. Some Universals do use tablets, but most of them work with the controller, laptop, stuff like that. But yeah, again, thank you guys for hanging out. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Let me know. I mean, you really have to contact me and let me know if you want me to be doing this show every single week, open it up for questions, or you just like it every other week like this. Let me know. For everyone that's saying thanks in there, thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Keep an eye out for more videos coming up. Please go to my DJ Michael Joseph YouTube page and subscribe. Like I said, if I get a few more, I'm going to start doing some kind of like behind the scenes or kind of question videos like that over there. The other one that's just Michael Joseph YouTube channel is just the stuff, basically the stuff I do here on Disc Jockey News goes over there too. But the DJ Michael Joseph, there's stuff over there, mixing videos and different parties I've done and clips that aren't shown anywhere but there. So go over to that, DJ Michael Joseph on YouTube. Try to find that if you can, do a search, and it's there. Thank you all for your support. Until next time, again, share the video, all that kind of stuff. I keep forgetting about that. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, everybody. Again, I appreciate this. As this world kind of transitions, whatever catchphrase you want to use for normal right now, we've got to look out for each other no matter what. No matter who you are, no matter where you're at, we have to look out for each other. And that's just, to me, it shouldn't be such a novelty thing. It should be the norm that people look out for each other and help each other. And that's what I want to say, is that it's a crazy world out there. Take care of yourself, and more importantly, take care of each other. Till next time, God bless, guys. Thank you again.